How are the both of you doing today?
I'm doing very
Pretty
well,
great.
Julian.
It's a
How are you doing?
thrilling day.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Very busy day. In fact, we're here to talk about the TV show. I got a chance to see a few episodes. I love what I'm watching.
Awesome. Thank you.
So what were some of the early challenges when it came to developing the show as well as being a showrunner? Because we haven't had a prequel prior to this year, and I had a feeling there's a lot of challenges that came with it.
Oh, I think the challenge is just your own expectations. As a Stephen King mega fan, as we both are, as someone who loves the films that Andy and Barbara made, and obviously got a chance to work on the second one with them, but you want to do something that honors the incredible legacy and the incredible high watermark set by those works. You don't want to mess it up, frankly. So there's that general concern. And then there's also, as you're delving into the mysteries of Derry and expanding upon them, there's the balance of how much to reveal versus how much to keep a mystery. You know, you want answers, and yet if you give too many answers, then what's the point? So there were lots of challenges involved and lots of risks, but that's also part of the fun.
Another one of the challenges was, what do you do with Pennywise that, the audience hasn't seen before? There have been 2 It movies. He's been terrifying in both of them and brilliant, and we wanted to show other sides of the character, especially even just to lure Bill back into the mythology and into the story. And we tried to show different sides of Pennywise to show a little bit more of his origin story, and do more cool stuff, and it seems to have worked.
I think it's always a balance because you want to deliver on the promise and the premise of an It show. That comes with certain expectations. You tell someone that you're doing a prequel series. You have an idea of what that looks like in your mind, and you want to deliver to some extent, but you also want to surprise and subvert people's expectations. And so it's just navigating that balance creatively. And luckily, had an amazing partner in Brad to run the show with, and we built something that we feel really excited about. And I know as fans we would watch and love, and hopefully other fans, new and old, feel the same way.
Yeah.
When I'm watching the show, I also love the character building from everyone else that's in the cast. Some of them, that's the younger versions of themselves. Others that are completely new. And I say this because everyone's going to expect to see Pennywise all the time, but we really don't, because we have also characters that need to be built. So how did y'all strike that balance when it came to developing all these stories?
Well, Pennywise is a very famous character in the It universe and in the Stephen King character. There are other very famous characters, obviously, in the Stephen King universe. And one of the ways that we tried to make it fresh and exciting is to bring one of those characters in. And obviously that's Chris Chalk's Dick Halloran. Mm-hmm. Dick Halloran from The Shining. We brought him in. We tried to do a different version of Dick Halloran. We think that'll be exciting for Shining fans, for Stephen King fans. And like you said, it's a younger version. It's not the Dick Halloran that we've met in The Shining, who was very much a mentor, very much a guide for Danny Torrance. It's Dick Halloran as a younger man, as an individual, as someone who is more selfish than the character that we've come to know. And we watch him go on a journey of trauma and self-discovery, and ultimately the breakthrough into the character that we know today. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the ways.
Would you like to add to that?
Just to say that the book is so rich with possibilities. We're delving really into the sort of the Mike Hanlon interludes. Mike Hanlon, who's one of the losers, obviously, in the films and in the book. Mike has these interludes in the novel where he's writing about Derry's history, and there's these suggestions. There's these hints of events in the past: the Black Spot fire, Kitchener Iron Works explosion, the Bradley gang shootout. And so these are things. I must have read it for the first time at an inappropriately young age. I was probably 11 or 12, and the questions about what those incidents were have been rattling around my brain for decades at this point. Wondering not just about what that history was, but why it behaves the way it behaves, the sort of mysteries of its, modus operandi, why it chooses this form of Pennywise the clown among all the forms it could take. So yeah, it felt like there was an embarrassment of riches in terms of the canon and places we could go, and we didn't want to rush into any one particular thing. It's TV. We had 8 hours to tell the story, and so
it's not TV.
It's HBO.
It's
HBO.
Fair enough. But so we just wanted to tell the story that we were most excited to tell and let that sort of guide us towards the destinations it led us to.
Has the Hollywood strikes from a few years ago had any effect on changing a few of the storylines?
They didn't really.
Not the storylines. It affected production. We obviously shut down during the strikes. But in terms of the storylines, no, I don't think it had an impact on that.
Everything was intact, even after we came back from the strikes, and we just picked up where we left off.
The town of Derry's, I feel like, is also a character within this story as well. So can you give some behind-the-scenes details on how that developed?
Obviously, in reading it, Derry is a character. And some of the most horrifying things in it are not about the sort of the monster, the entity itself. It's about the town. So the idea of exploring the horrors of that town, the idea of exploring the way people in that town are desensitized to horrible things, felt really kind of chilling and interesting. Feels like it speaks to something both of the moment and universal. And so, yeah, no, Derry is a scary place. And it's not only scary because there's a creature in the sewers. Derry is scary because of some of the people there. And some of the most, I think, chilling monsters of Derry are flesh and blood like us. And that's what makes the story feel, I think, as gripping and real as ever.
And at this point, there have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages that Stephen King has written about Derry. There have been multiple books that he's set in Derry. So, anytime we're in doubt, we go back to the text. We go back to the source. We go back to the, primary sources, and we look at King's work, and we get our inspiration and ground ourselves there.
Awesome. Thank both of you for your time today.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been quite a good week so far, so happy to speak with the both of you.
Happy to speak with
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Thanks for coming in.
It's so much fun. A pleasure.